Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, August the 31st, 2022. Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. First and foremost, if you're watching this, take a quick minute and subscribe. Please subscribe to my daily recap channel. Now, let's get started. Jordan is pretty much questioning people, about their whereabouts during the time of Ava's stabbing. Now she questions Finn and Elizabeth, and Finn right away can say, "Oh, at that time I ran into Maxie because I was looking for Elizabeth, and I asked Maxie had she seen Elizabeth." So Jordan asked him to take a few steps back and talk about his steps before that. So he did. He said, "Look, Elizabeth and I, she left the stables. They had a misunderstanding. He went to go find her. He found Spencer at the Quartermain house. Valentine was there. And then eventually Victor came, and he said then he left to go find Elizabeth. And, that pretty much was his whereabouts. Then he did eventually find Elizabeth with Nicholas. So then it shows Jordan trying to get some information from Spencer and Victor a little bit later. And of course, they're very vague, but she says she didn't need anything from Spencer because the Quartermain staff just reported that Spencer was pretty much throwing up his guts in the bathroom during that time from all that drinking he had done. So Spencer had an alibi. But then she's looking at Victor, and just as she's looking at Victor, asking him where's his whereabouts, Nicholas shows up, with his indignant about, you should be looking for the real killer who killed my wife, but yet you're here questioning my family and this and this. And Jordan is looking at him like, look, I haven't eliminated you as a suspect, you know? So we shall see where that's going to go, with that. But the funny thing is, Finn, he's wondering about Elizabeth and that time that she was away because he knows she does lose track of time or lose time and she doesn't know what she's doing. And quite frankly, Elizabeth still hasn't told him. She blanked out. She hasn't told him that. Now Nicholas knows. She's confided in Nicholas. And Nicholas, while Jordan was still questioning Finn and Elizabeth, he came in and he gave them him and Elizabeth a nice tidy alibi that, oh, during that time Elizabeth and I were together. And Finn is kind of looking at that like, oh, were you really the whole time? Elizabeth never said anything, and Nicholas had never said anything before either. Like Jordan's like, well, why didn't you say that before? And he's like, well, she, came up, just remembered it. And Elizabeth, when she questioned Elizabeth, she never said I was with Nicholas, So Jordan jotted it all down, and when Jordan left, Finn closed the door and asked Elizabeth and Nicholas, okay, you guys want to tell me what that's all about? Why that alibi was there? I mean, why did you, Elizabeth, if you were with him the whole time, why didn't you say, and she's still him hawing around. Oh, goodness gracious. So Finn has to go check on a patient, and that gave Elizabeth and Nicholas some time to talk. And she said, what was that all about? Why did you say that? And he was like, well, I did it to help you. You didn't know what was happening. And, in other words, look, and we both need an alibi because that's really what that's about, right? Elizabeth. So we're friends. We go way back, Elizabeth. She goes, oh, yeah, let's not talk about that. But then Spencer, he comes up to Trina, and this is where they left it off yesterday. And she's talking about, you here for Ava. He goes, no, I'm here for you. And then she's like, oh, and your father. And oh, the look of disdain on his face, it's like, no. And then Trina figured, oh, he's hurt you, huh? And I'm thinking, how did you go to he's hurt you? I didn't know where she came up with that from, but yeah, he's hurt Spencer. Spencer just didn't tell her how he's hurt her. And so Trina reaches down, grabs his, rolls her hand down his arm, grabs his hand, and I'm like, well, hold up, girl. Whoa, whoa. Okay, I understand being a friend, but remember, you still are uncertain about this friend who sent you through heck for months, right? Not making you think he didn't believe you. And before all of that came up, talking to you bad whenever his girlfriend was around. But let's hold his hand. Would you like to talk about it? And he's like, it's not your problem. Anyway, so she goes in, she goes, well, I got to go see Ava. So she goes in and Nicholas is there. And Nicholas, it was so funny. He goes, something, I forget what he's saying to Ava as he's reaching for her pillow with both hands from up under her. And Trina's like, what do you think you're doing? And in my mind, I was thinking, what on earth do you think you're doing, stupid? The blinds are open. Anybody can see. Now, for one, her pillow did not need fluffing, period. She's unconscious, Nicholas. You have no reason to be even reaching back. Nicholas is such an idiot, right? So Trina is like, he goes, oh, good, Trina, you're here. She could use a friend and this, and the other. And Trina's talking about what a shame this is that it happened to her. And he goes, yeah, the police need to find out. She goes, who do you think did this to her? I don't know. But Ava had a lot of enemies, a lot of enemies. A number of people could have done this. And then Trina looks at him and said, Mr. Cassadine, it also could have been done by someone who used to love her. And I thought, whoa, girl, what you know that I don't know? Or what you know that everybody else don't really know or the police know? Whoa. Wow. And he just looked at her like, oh my goodness, what you know about me? that was the way Trina did that. I was like, okay, girl, right? And she's looking at him walk away. So she's talking to Ava, and it was very, very heartfelt, because if it's one thing, Trina and Ava have a very, very special friendship and a very, very special connection. They really, really do. For Ava, Trina's like a second daughter, And for Trina, Ava was someone she was close to when she wasn't close to her mother. I mean, she was really, really close to Ava. So, she's just begging her, please, please wake up. And then at the end, the machines start beeping, beeping, beeping. So we don't know what's going to go on with that. But then Anna and Victor, before Victor gets to the hospital, he's talking to Anna. And Anna's, is a little cat and mouse coy game between the two of them. He's trying to find out what she thinks she knows. She's trying to find out what's going on. And only one part that Victor slipped up on is where she got him talking about Charlotte. How's Charlotte? And he goes, Charlotte is fine. She goes, why did she come home for the summer? Oh, well, the boarding school she's at got a brand new equestrian center donated there. And she just, how Charlotte loves her horses. So she begged her father to stay. And Anna goes, oh, and of course he just could not say no to that. Well, no, of course not. And the look in Anna's eyes is like, gotcha. Okay, now you're giving me something to go on as to where Charlotte, because Anna does not know where Charlotte's at. So now she's on the phone trying to find out who's donated equestrian centers, names of people that donated equestrian centers to boarding schools. Who did that? What benefactor? And guess what? It's going to be Victor Cassadine. It's going to be that. We all know that. And then we had wasteful time with Drew and Carly. Carly said, I just don't know who I am. Since I was 22, I was, it was Sonny and Jason, and that's been my whole world and my whole life, and now without them, the only thing I have is my children because the Metro Court, which was the next best thing that I had, is gone. So, who am I? So Drew's like, oh, you know who you are, and blah blah blah. They kiss. So he wants to they want to take it slow, but not too slow. But let's see where this goes, because it's just yada yada yada. Okay. So she's like, oh, I still need to figure myself out, but definitely we can spend some time together, right? So he is happy with that as he leaves, after he planted that kiss, he really felt like, oh, I did some good here today. I made some headway with Carly. And then Lucy sees Anna poolside of the Metro Court and tries to walk right past her. But Anna stops her and, is talking about it. She goes, no, for one, I want my Marty back. And for two, no, part of the deal was not to have Victor Cassadine with his hands on me. And Anna's like, well, you need to use whatever you can, right? And so Valentine is in the area coming into the pool, portion by the pool, and he's looking at Anna and Lucy's interaction with one another, and he's going to put it together that Lucy's only doing what she's doing because of Anna. So at the end, he sits down on the pool chair next to Anna, because she's trying to find out who donated this equestrian center. And he goes, my darling, as he rubs her leg, you've been keeping something from me, to that effect. Because he takes her book out of her hand and says that to her. And she just looks at him like, oh, really? I wonder what could that be? So I saved this for last. Guess who is back? Sasha. Oh, yes. I am so happy that they're back. I'm happy that they're healthy, from COVID. I don't know if Brando had it, but I know Sasha did. The actor that plays Esme and Ryan, and I think Gladys. So I think Brando too. They all were exposed, and most of them came down with it. So they are back. They're back. They're back. They went to this psych evaluation, and Sasha, it's not that she didn't want to go. She thought it was a regular, ordinary psych evaluation. Brando, I don't know how he felt this was going to work, didn't tell her about the guardianship. So when the person mentioned it, Sasha was like, wait, what do you mean this could help keep me out of prison? What are you talking about? And she goes, and she looks at Brando, the clinician or the doctor or the evaluator, and says, I am sorry, I thought you discussed this with her. And he goes, Sasha, honey, yeah, this is in your best, it could keep you out of prison, and that's the most important thing. So the person tells her, yes, that if Brando can take guardianship of you and your affairs, that will prove to the judge that you're making good choices, that you realize something needs to change and you need, some assistance. And Sasha's like I'm a child? Oh no. So of course, Sasha is not for it. You're going to control everything I do. No, I'm not about to do this. I'm not a child. And she, this, that, and the other. She ends up flying off the handle. She doesn't need this. And so she ends up just walking out. And Brando's like, Sasha, and she goes, when did you stop believing in me? And my whole thing would be, well, since the second time when you fell off the wagon and started using drugs again under my nose, Sasha, maybe that was the clue for me. Maybe that was my wake up call. Hello, that's when, when did you stop believing in me? And oh, she doesn't need this. And so at the end of the show, it shows her up at poolside And this fan, or so she thinks it's a fan, walks up to her and says, "Oh, you're the face of deception, aren't you?" And Sasha's grinning and smiling and looking high as a kite. And I'm thinking, is she high? Did she that fast? And she's like, "Would you like a selfie?" And watch, come tomorrow, that girl will end up saying something negative. "Oh, you the one that lost it on the show, or you the one that, you know, beat up the photographers." Probably it's not going to be, yes, yes, I want a selfie from the face of deception. So that's going to also send her spiraling. But the way she was looking, I think Sasha got a hold of something because she was way too happy there. Okay, comment corner, comment corner. We have Phyllis. She says she'll be glad when Willow has to get her bone marrow transfer. That way, Carly's going to have to tell the truth about, Nina being Willow's mother. And then we'll see how Michael feels about Carly's keeping that big of a secret. I know. And then Phyllis also says Willow's going to have a bone marrow transplant. And guess who she's going to get it from? Has anyone thought about that? Yes, Phyllis, yes. We thought about it. I have said it time and time again. Goodness, that absolutely that bone marrow transplant is going to come from Nina. Absolutely. And then we have Patricia. A lot of suspects, but I have to confess, I'm the one who stabbed Ava. What? A lot of something will have to affect. I am the one. Also sank the Titanic. Okay, yeah, you're making a joke because you're not the one who stabbed Ava. Let's see. We've got Patricia also saying, I don't understand that part either, Patricia. We've got Donna, who said, "Isn't Carly a little too old to be playing coy?" Yes. True. I don't know, Drew. I've thought about it every 5 seconds. How many times have you thought about that kiss and that almost making out in the boathouse? Ooh, I know. And then we have Robin, who says she hopes Trina and Spencer discuss his feelings for her. And Elizabeth might have done it. Yeah, I know. Watch. It's gonna be a big blank out. And then Devlin says, "Thank you for the recap. Have a wonderful night, everyone." Yep, you are welcome, welcome, welcome. And Sandy says she loves Trina's new hairstyle, such a beauty. She hopes Ava wakes up and tells us who did it. But you know what? Ava's back, which was to the person. I don't know if Ava's gonna ever say she saw it. She goes, so we don't have to wait a year for Jordan to solve the case. I know the case won't be solved. She thinks it was either Nicholas, Esme, Liz, who literally had blood on her hands. Yes, Liz had blood on her hands, but Liz also had a cut on her forehead. She could have brushed that, even though that wasn't smeared, but she could, as she came through those trees, I think it did show her, brushing something there. And then Lisa says, "I hate that it could be Elizabeth. She loves her character." And then she goes, "Esme could be back." But Esme would have to have known her way around the Quartermain estate. Esme had never been there. Yeah, no, Esme had never been to the Quartermain estate. So that would be interesting how if we couldn't, if it were Esme. And then Monique says that, of course, Ava needs a real man, not a boy, Nicholas. Yeah, I feel the same way. Nicholas is just, let's not even talk about him. She can't believe that he blames Ava for the fallout with Spencer, when it was really, it was all his actions, and it was definitely his fault. Then this Chemo Beauty said, "Trina looks so beautiful today. And when she was at the hospital and Spencer came up to her, he touched her on her shoulder. It was such a romantic moment." She hates to admit it, but Joss and Dex make a pretty cute couple. They actually do, but he should be too old for her. I'm actually feeling like the actor who plays Cameron might be on his way out of General Hospital. He loves the fact that Sonny and Carly were civil today. Yes, they tend to be civil where Donna is concerned, which is good, you know. Let's see. And that is about it. That's about it in Comment Corner. Thank you so much. Keep those comments coming. I love them. I love them. I will be back tomorrow, Thursday. Thursdays are usually a boring day, but let's see what Thursday brings on the daily recap for General Hospital.